Hello all, today in this video I'm going to show and demo for ANN with the optimizer as Adamax. Already with the same code we have worked with some other optimizer, and here we are going to work with Adamax and going to make a comparison with the different previous optimizers which we have made the demo. So for that initially we are importing the libraries which we are needed, and then we are loading our data set. This data set we downloaded from Kaggle. You can just give us hard disease data set. Kaggle means you will get this data set. This data set is having nearly 14 entries, and among that the first 13 entries we will be using as the x variable, and the last entry, that is the target, we will be using as the y variable. Then we are getting the info of the data set. Every integers, everything's are integers except the old peak, it is float. Then we are just describing our data set. Then we are checking whether our data set is having any null entries. If it is having any null entries means we have to work with some pre-processing functions. Then we are just displaying the heat map of our data set. Then, as I said previously, we are determining the x variable by dropping the last variable, and determining the y variable by just using only the last variable. Then by using this x variable and y variable and the test size of 0.2, that is 20% for testing and remaining 80% for training, we are determining variables like x train, x test, y train and y test. Then we are using a standard scalar to convert vectors, this values into vectors. So this standard scalar we are using in the x train and or in the x test, and then we are getting the shape of the x variable. Why? Because this value only we will be using as this 13 shape only we will be using on the input dimension. So then we are just determining the layers. It is having the initial sequential layer, next three dense layer. In the first two dense layers, the output dimension is 11, and the last dense layer, the output dimension is 1 only. Why? Because this work is a binary classification work. If it is a multi-classification work means the one will be replaced by the number of classes which is having in multi-class classification. Then the every dense layers are using the kernel initializer as uniform. Activation, the first two layers are using the ReLU, and the last layer is using as the sigmoid, and the input dimension is 13, which is from the shape of our data set. Then we are just compiling our data set, and here we are using the Adam optimizer. Loss as binary cross entropy and metrics as accuracy. Then we are using an early stopping as it will be monitoring different variables, and here we are letting it to monitor validation loss. If you want to make it to monitor some other variables means you can just change this thing, like what you want you can change this. And the patience is 10, that is it will just monitor for the first 10 approaches, or for first or for 10 approaches. For 10 approaches, subsequent 10 approaches, if it the value of validation loss is not showing much difference means it will just complete, the model will just complete its execution and it will not move to the next approach. And we are just training our model by using the fed function and by using the variables x train, y train, validation data and approaches as 50, and we have used the call box as early stopping. And here in the first model where we are using the optimizer as Adam, we are just training, the model has training for nearly 50 approaches, and we have got an classification report with accuracy 91%, and other performance metrics parameters like precision, recall, F1 score support is also estimated. And then we are also making a definition for the confusion matrix. Within the definition of the confusion matrix we are making some plot variables and all. So then we are displaying the Adam confusion matrix. So this is the confusion matrix for Adam. Then we are working with the SGD optimizer. Every layers composition, everything and all will be same as previous only. The only difference you can find is SGD. That is the optimizer is SGD. Previously it is Adam. Then the model is working for 50 approaches. Here early stopping has worked, and it has stopped the model at 11 approaches because we are monitoring validation loss. No, here you may notice the validation loss is not showing very much difference. Only 0.1 or 0.2 difference is only noticed. So the early stopping has just led to stop it by approaches 11. Then we are displaying the confusion matrix report, classification report. Here you can notice the F1 accuracy is 41%, and the other parameters values also you may notice, and we have also displayed the confusion matrix. Then we have worked with the rmsprop. So in the optimizer place we are replacing rmsprop. Then here the early stopping function is not working, and so it has worked for nearly 50 approaches. Why it is not working? Because you may notice that in validation loss it is some having some huge difference. Only initially it is 35, then 25, so we are having some huge difference. No, in that case it won't make some it won't work. If it is not making any huge difference means it will just make its action. Then we have got an accuracy of 81%, and then other parameters is also displayed, and the confusion matrix is also displayed. This is adadelta classifier. The only difference is of adadelta. Here the early stopping has not worked, and then it has worked for nearly 50 approaches, and the classification report is also displayed. You may notice the accuracy is 60%, and the confusion matrix is also displayed. Then the adagrad optimizer is worked. Here you may notice the adagrad optimizer is replaced. Here the early stopping has worked, and it has ended its execution at 11th approach. And you may notice the classification report results. We have got an accuracy of 48%, and this is the confusion matrix report. And finally in this work we are going to see the results of Adamax. Here the early stopping is not working, and here so it is run for nearly 50 approaches. Here you may notice that is our model has worked for nearly 50 approaches, and then we are displaying the classification report parameters and have got an accuracy of 88%, and the confusion matrix is also displayed. Then we can notice our final comparison graph. So this is the final comparison graph. Here also you may notice that the Adam accuracy is only higher when compared to everything. Adamax is this color, so it is also some 80. We saw that it is 88%. Then so still now Adam is only providing some better accuracies when compared to the other optimizer. In the next video we will be working with some other optimizers. Thank you.